It is 7 p.m. on the Pacific coast of the lower 48 United States. It is Hump Night. That's Wednesday, January 7th, 2009. Happy New Year! Whoopee! Happy New Year! What? Okay, so I'm a little late. Give me a break. When you reach my age, you'll be a little late, too. My name is Ace Lundon, and this is Lundon Calling, the talk show you've been waiting for. The internet podcast talk show that could get you high. OMG, you could become a podhead. Welcome, all you wild and wonderful weirdos out there in Podland. Thanks for tuning in. The pre- and post-show music is provided by Sonic Eccles. More information is provided on the website, so check it out. And I'm supposed to warn you in advance every show that if you have virgin ears, don't listen. Folks tell me I have a potty mouth and I got kind of a naughty mind. So I've got a potty mouth, and my co-host likes to tinkle the ice in the glass. Yes, he's in Atlanta, Georgia. It is such a treat for you to be with me here tonight, Lance.
And it's a treat to be with you. Happy New Year.
Well, Kathy Griffin made me say that.
Oh, my gosh. Was she not amazing? And you know what? And I don't like to use the A word, but she kept Anderson Cooper on his toes. Bless his heart.
I know.
He just could not keep up with her.
I love her. Did you make any New Year's resolutions, Lance?
Ace, I was just thinking about that earlier today. I really don't think I did. Maybe I'm on a different calendar. Maybe I'm on the pagan calendar. Is there a different? Do I have until February 1st? I'm on a fiscal year. That's what it is. I'll let you know what my fiscal. I don't know. What resolutions do you have?
Oh, I have decided that I'm going to get myself a training bra and a tummy tuck this year. Because
what are you talking about?
Things have been going south, That's the way it goes sometimes. But other than that, I don't.
You need a man girdle. You need Spanx.
I wonder why men don't use girdles anymore like they used to. Centuries ago, men wore girdles, to keep our beer bellies from poking out, a foot in front of us. But now we don't have them anymore.
You really
now
think that's the case, or do you just think the technology's gotten better?
Oh, probably. Well, I heard my little dog. I heard my little dog praying this last Christmas, and I know you don't probably like to listen to your dogs when you have them, but once in a while I listen in, and I heard her say, "Thank you for bringing me to Timmy Ace and not to Michael Vick." And I thought that was a nice prayer. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was a nice prayer.
Yes. Hey, speaking of the New Year's thing, have you heard about the Nostradamus prophecy of 2/12?
I have not. Boy, I haven't thought about Nostradamus in a while. What's up with him?
Well, you haven't been keeping up with the times, and everybody is talking about the end of the world in 2/12.
Oh, Ace, people have been talking about the end of the world for billions of years. Everybody thinks they're living in the end times.
Well, this is a very serious thing they're going through these days with it, because 2/12 is around the corner, so a lot of people are peeing their pants, And the Mayan calendar, and oh my goodness, they're just tying everything in, and the Bible with the book of the Revelation of Saint John on the Isle of Patmos and everything, and they're saying we're going to be ending it all in 2/12. Don't you believe in prophecy?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, huh?
You really think 2012 is it? You think that's going to be our swan song?
Well, that's what they say, yes. Do you believe in the end of the world thing that people are talking about? You know, like the world is going to come to an end. There are some scientists who say it's going to.
I'm going to give an ace answer and say yes and no, because I think what will happen is we'll pollute this poor planet that's been so good to us, and the people who can afford to will leave, and the people who can't will be stuck. Or, you know, we still have a little teeny tiny nuclear issue. I suppose we could still nuke ourselves into non-existence. I guess, really, Ace, nothing's changed since I was a child. We haven't really learned. The names and faces have changed, but the threat is still the same.
Well, you know, have you read my autobiography yet?
I'm on page 1.
Oh.
I read the liner notes. It's fascinating.
Well,
actually, I opened up to a couple of different pages, and I loved them.
When you get to the end, you'll see I lived with a psychic thing that just drove me crazy for many years. It made me move and everything. Because I don't understand a lot of the things that I see psychically. And this was one of those Nostradamus type of things. An old friend of mine said I should write down all of these things that I see. He says, you could become the new Nostradamus. And I said, oh, that's ridiculous. I don't plan on writing them down. But yes, from the psychic standpoint, what I saw certainly was cataclysmic. Definitely. And it was enough to scare the shit out of me, you know?
Really?
So, yeah.
I want to know what question was, or do I want to just...
Well, you'll have to read about it. But if you can imagine... now, this is many years ago when I saw this.
You end your autobiography with a prediction about the end of the world?
No, not the end of the world. About the end of my thinking about all of this stuff and having to live with it, you know, because I think everyone kind of has these little intuitions or psychic things happen to them, and we have to live with these things when they happen to us, even though we don't understand them. They do happen, and I think that they happen to a lot of people they aren't even called psychic, you know. I've been called psychic since age 4, so I've had to learn to live with that silly shit. But, yeah, if you see a building being swamped by a wave, and you know that building is a very tall building, you can tell it is, and you don't know what the building is until a few years later, you happen to be out on a vacation trip to Los Angeles, California, and you're driving down that road into downtown Los Angeles. We were going to, I think, Chinatown or something, and I saw the building. And I said to my dad, I said, Dad, that's the building with the wave. And he told me to shut up. He told me to shut up. Well, the building was the Los Angeles City Hall. I'd never seen it before. And the wave was almost up to the top of it that hit it in the what I saw in the psychic thing. So you can imagine what type of a catastrophe that would be if a tsunami of such a nature were to hit Los Angeles, California. You know, it would be certain. It would certainly be cataclysmic. Well, it was enough to scare me, and it kept coming back, and I got numbers. The numbers made me even end up moving at one point, and then the numbers passed, and I said, well, I sure as hell don't know what in the world it all means, outside of the fact that, okay, maybe one day there will be a catastrophic type of thing that will happen, and we're all going to have to live with it or die with it, one or the other. So, anyway, that's just
some popcorn handy to pop when it happens.
Yeah. That's a wonderful way to enter the new year. Anyway, it's
know. Wow, way to start the new year on an upbeat.
Now, you're too young to remember this song, but I think it was back in the 40s. It was a song called Quanta Le Gusta. I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that means, but I think it was the those three girls, the sisters, the ones that
There were a
did.
lot of trios, though. Yeah, I mean, which one?
Yeah, no, the GI Joe type sisters. Oh God, I can't think of their names. Anyway, Andrews. Yeah, that's the Andrews sisters.
Now,
yes, I think that they did it. Anyway, it went on. Where are we going? We got to get going. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
We're on our way to somewhere, the three of us and you. And
you.
What'll we see there? Who will be there? What'll be the big surprise? Will there be caballeros or senoritas with dark and flashing eyes? We're on our way. Pack up your pack, and if we stay, we won't come back. How can we go? We haven't got a dime, but we're going, and we're going to have a happy time. So, Quanta le gusta? And I guess that's the song that we should be singing this year, because I tell you, with what's going on in the world these days, we don't know where in the hell everything is going to end up, but we are going together, and that's for sure.
So this is the Lundon Calling. This is our theme for 2009. Quanta le gusta. We'll just say that after Quanta le gusta.
Yeah, whatever that means, I don't know.
I think it's Spanish for where are we going and why am I in this handbasket?
Could be. Well, folks, as Aristotle said, it's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So you don't have to believe anything we're saying or anything anybody else says. You just got to use your little brain between those ears and think about it, and then either accept or reject it. What's your most memorable event of 2008, Lance?
Oh, gosh, the fact that it ended? No. You know what? The most memorable event of 2008 was starting the podcast.
Ah, that's good. You're on the ball. You're hired. I'm not going to fire you.
Oh, does that mean I get a paycheck now?
Well, who knows? Who knows? Someday it could happen. I think my most memorable event that is just indelible in my mind, I watched the Beijing Olympics opening.
That was fantastic.
It was awesome. Just awesome. Those dear people over there did one of the best jobs that I have ever seen.
My favorite was the water cube. What did they call that? Did they just call it the water cube? But it was where the pool was, and it had those lights, and they would shimmer. And
yeah,
that was a pretty gay building. That was pretty awesome.
The whole opening ceremonies. Oh, to think that they did that with the thousands of people actually doing it it was just phenomenal.
Well, you can have these things when you have totalitarianism.
Well, I can go for that then.
Oh, great.
Maybe we need a little bit of it, instead of getting all of these stupid committees that the government seems to want to put forth, a committee for this and a committee for that, and they don't know their ass.
Committees.
They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, So, who do you think is?
Go ahead.
Who do you think is listening to our show, Lance? Have you ever wondered about that as we start this new year?
Well, there's the guy not far from you who says that Southern accents are dead sexy.
Yeah. Yes, well.
And I don't know, maybe there's a grandmother in San Francisco of Italian heritage.
Yes.
Would be lovely.
Well, I've thought about that as we've been looking. That the population of the U.S. is 305,678,756 people in the U.S.
Oh, God. And our debt is that.
And in the world, there are billion? 737 billion and a half plus,
Half of them live in China.
I've been thinking about those numbers. I'm saying to myself, okay, who listens to Lundon Calling? Well, we know that we have a lot of listeners who are gay and lesbian and trans and bi, and everything. And we know that we have heterosexual listeners. But if we look at those statistics, I would say we probably have more straight listeners than gay listeners, because according to the social scientists, approximately 8 to 10% of the population only is gay. That means that out of the 300 and some million people in the U.S., there's only about 3 million gays. And in the world, maybe only 67 million gays.
No, Ace, 30 million gays. It's 10%.
10%. Oh, did I say 3?
Oh, you had me worried. I was like, 3 million. That's not nearly enough.
No, 30 million. Yeah.
30 million.
Yeah.
I had never thought of that. What's 1/10 of 6 billion? That's a lot of gay people.
What is it? 6?
All those zeros.
I don't know. Anyway, that's that means that the chances or the odds are that there are more straight people listening than gay people. So that's just the way it is in the world, and that's what we're going into. And
okay, Ace, I've got the number for you: 60 million
in the world, huh?
60 million gay people in the world.
In the world, yeah, approximately 67, they say. And how about in the U.S.? Out of 305 million.
I'm not doing this math right. I'm looking at these zeros and going, what? I'll get back to you on this question. I'm going to have to build a spreadsheet.
I think that, let's see, out of 305 million people, let's say 10%, let's say, are gay. That means that we've got approximately 3 million.
That's 1%. It's 30 million.
It is.
That's a lot of gay in the USA, baby.
Yeah. Out of 305 million, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have misplaced a zero. We're probably talking about 600 million gay people on the planet. That's really where it's got to be.
It's possible, and especially when you consider that during the Second World War and when Mr. Hitler was doing his thing with trying to create a perfect race, and he was getting rid of the gypsies and the Jews and anybody that didn't quite fit his perfection thing. He was getting rid of approximately 600,000 homosexuals. Now he didn't mess with the lesbian population too much, because the Germans liked the lesbians over there. But the gay men, yeah, he took care of about 600,000 during that war. That's something, isn't it? Yep.
And thank God for straight people, because they just keep making more of us.
Yeah, isn't that true? And they worry about gays producing more gays. It's the straights that produce us.
Yeah. If we could reproduce, there'd be 1 billion gay people, not just 600. That's really staggering. So Hitler, not that here we go again toward another nice and dark topic for this New Year's broadcast. But so Hitler tried to do away with 600,000 gay people, and that was one.
Yeah, he put pink triangles. He put pink triangles on them. Yeah,
and we took that back. We took that back.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about gays is that we have a good sense of humor. And
oh God, you have to. Us and Jews. I mean, we are we take it and took it throughout history, and we're the people too. We have the best sense of humor because you have to.
You better have it, yes. Otherwise, you'd go nuts.
You don't have to cry.
Oh,
gave
Lord,
the world
help. Lord help us. Lord help us. Okay. Oh, as we enter this new year, everyone's talking about poverty and unemployment and things like that. Another dull, awful subject. But, I don't know about you, but I am not rich, and poverty makes us do
hey, it's time for a Lance soliloquy, and I'm just going to try to keep this brief.
Okay.
You and I are wealthy by world standards. We are plutocrats because, you told me about, kind of where your finances are and how you live your life, and I totally get that. But in my opinion, if you don't worry about where your next meal's coming from and you've got heating or cooling in your home, you've got a vehicle, you're literate. I mean, we're like in the top 1% to 5% of the world population. Half the world lives in poverty.
I know.
So what do you mean by you and I aren't wealthy? I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy if I just wake up in the morning.
I am wealthy in spirit and in spiritual things. In spiritual things, yes.
Hot, cold water.
But I'm not getting an annual bonus. This past Christmas, I didn't get one because I don't have a job. I can't get a job, it seems like.
Hey,
but
can I just tell you something? There's plenty of people who are working who are getting annual bonuses.
Yeah. Anyway, I decided to make bedroom slippers for my friends as gifts, and I asked them, let me know their sizes. And I thought, well, this is a great idea. And so I made up kind of a list of instructions on how to make bedroom slippers out of maxi pads. Mm-hmm.
You did not really do this.
Yes. What you need...
You have to send me a picture.
You need 4 maxi pads to make a pair of slippers. Gee. 2 of them you get laid out flat for the foot part. The other 2 you strap around the toe area to form the top of the slipper. Then you tape or you glue each side of the top pieces to the bottom of the foot part. And you can decorate these with whatever you desire, like silk flowers or whatever, something that's aesthetically appealing, The slippers are soft and hygienic, non-slip grip strips on the soles. Their built-in deodorant feature keeps your feet smelling fresh.
Just don't wear them in the rain.
And there's no more bending over to mop up spills,
Oh.
They're disposable and biodegradable, environmentally safe, and they come in 3 convenient sizes: regular, light, and get out the sandbags.
Oh, Ace. We will never get an interview. No one will ever lend their name to our show. We're going to have seance interviews. Let's interview Nostradamus.
Yes.
Say, did you know about the wave that took over Los Angeles? Because if you didn't, you're just a fraud.
Wait a minute. Say that again slowly so I can comprehend.
We'll ask Nostradamus if he knew about the wave taking over Los Angeles. If he says no, he's a fraud.
I don't know. I didn't ask him. I mean, next time I see him, I will.
Ace, I know you're old, but you're not that old.
Oh, dear. Anyone
so
upstate
you rode the bus with Albert Einstein and you went to kindergarten with Nostradamus?
Yes. Anyone upstate New York listening in? If you're from the upstate New York area, be sure and check out a very nice feature about Lundon Calling in the new issue of Diversity Rules. Thanks to Jim Curry, the editor. Did a fine job. By the way, if any of you are listening out there and you are connected with a publication, and maybe you can twist their arm and have them do a feature on the show and on us also. But look up Diversity Rules up in upstate New York. It's a wonderful, wonderful publication, and Jim Curry is doing a good job on this little sucker. Okay? Ladies, since we just finished Christmas, ladies, Do you know why a Christmas tree is a lot better than a man?
Oh, God, we don't have enough time to talk about all those reasons.
I know. Well, ladies, Christmas tree will stay up for 12 days. Its balls are a lot prettier,
Oh,
and
God.
it looks good with the lights on.
Oh, God.
Just a little after Christmas humor. Okay. Hey, we got to mention Sonic Eccles, who does the intro for our show. It's synthesizer music. Henry Eccles was a composer back in the time of Louis the XIV. What would that be? 14th? Yeah.
Yes,
around
sir.
not 19, around 1732, I think it was. And I think our music is on a Roland synthesizer, probably. But it brought back a memory for me at a Beverly Hills party many years ago when I met in the early 70s at one of the parties a man named Robert Moog, M-O-O-G, and he had invented a thing he called a synthesizer. I thought, well, interesting. And now we end up with Henry
Ace,
Eccles.
you're just totally making that up. There's no way.
What do you mean?
Met him at a party when he had just invented the synthesizer?
Well, it had been invented, I don't know, I'm sure it wasn't a week earlier, but he had invented it, yes, and he'd called it a synthesizer. I had no idea what he was talking about, but
Wow.
It was nice. He was an interesting man.
Is that how you discovered LSD, too?
No. But at Beverly Hills parties, I'm sure that was one of the happy things, back then. But anyway,
while on the subject of American decency, did you hear that Larry Flint has asked for a federal bailout?
Yes, I wish we could.
Well, we're not doing porn. Should we do porn so we can get a bailout? Is that how it works?
I guess so. My goodness, poor Larry Flint. After all, he's certainly not very wealthy anymore. I don't think. Well, he probably is.
That's on him because he could have saved his money and was making it. Everybody knows when you make $10, you take one and you set it aside, and that's how you pay yourself. So I have no pity.
Yes.
No pity. No bailout for porn.
I agree. Yeah.
He's just going to stay up with the times, man. It's just like Detroit.
I was thinking about the rough times that they say we're going to be going through and we are in at this point. And I think that it is important for people to empty the closets of their life, sometimes physically and definitely from the standpoint of not living with lies. Once you are not living with lies anymore, life becomes much more simple and easy to cope in rough times.
Ace, that's just proof that you're not from the South. How can you imagine a life without lies and mendacity?
Well, if they want to live that way, they can, but they shouldn't, because it is not healthy. It is not healthy to live with lies.
It's not.
I know that, for the gay people, my God, get out of your damn closets, folks, if you happen to be a gay person in a closet. And if you happen to be a wife beater, get out of that damn closet, guys, and stop it, We've had enough of closet lives like that. So, anyway, if you could change one thing in your life, as you've lived it in your almost 4 decades now, Lance, what would it be? We're looking at a new year.
Yeah, you might find this hard to believe. I don't know. Maybe our listeners wouldn't, but you probably know me better. You know what? You know what my New Year's resolution always is every year? The reason I don't ever really make a New Year's resolution? My resolution is always to be a nicer person, believe it or not.
Well,
and that's I regret the times in my life when I wasn't nicer to different people. I don't know. Maybe that's lame, but that's where I am with it.
Well,
What about you?
you're such a little wimpy. Okay.
I know, I'm such
You
a
know what I would
wuss.
you know what I would like to do if I could change one thing? I wish I'd have learned to play the piano when I was a kid. I think that would be wonderful to be able to be my age now and be able to play the piano.
Ace, what's stopping you?
Um, my inability with mathematics.
What does that have to do with playing a piano?
They say that people who are into music and such are also usually very good at math, and I am not.
Hey, usually. I've never
Well,
known you to have limits. I think you should take up the piano.
I tried it. My brain and my fingers don't work the same way, except during masturbation, and then it's wonderful.
Oh,
But
dear.
oh
Oh,
dear,
good.
bless
There
your
go all
heart,
of our interview prospects.
bless your heart, Lance.
Oh, bless my heart and bless your hands.
If you knew my hands, they have been blessed. Believe me.
Whoa!
By the way, I was thinking the other day about when I first came out of the closet. I was like 40, I was a late bloomer. I was a chicken shit and I was afraid to come out. But when I first came out of the closet, I ran across a book, and I'm going to recommend this book for anyone, by Patricia Nell Warren, a wonderful writer. She had written a book called The Front Runner.
Such a great book.
That book it gave me such strength when I first came out of the closet. It made me feel like, hey, I am a human being, no matter what anyone says, yes.
You know the backstory on that book, right?
Yeah, and I know what, Paul Newman and what's his face, the redheaded guy, they bought the screenplay rights to it, and they never were able to get it filmed, but it would make a wonderful movie. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I think before the end of our days, we will see it brought to the big screen.
I would hope so. By the way, speaking of movies, have you gone to straightactingmovie.com?
Now, Ace, you have to finish a thought. You have to tell. You can't assume that everybody who's listening to our show knows what The Front Runner is about. First of all, you can't assume that they're reading. Second of all, you can't assume that they're as old as we are. And we have to tell them the backstory on Patricia Nell Warren. And you know what's so great about The Front Runner is we were just talking about the Olympics.
So?
Yes.
So tell about her.
Tell her. Patricia, let me tell you about your book. Well, it's the story of, I gather from the way the book was written, and I'll tell you, it's probably been 15 years since I read it, that the main character is a pretty hot Olympic grade runner, and he and his coach end up in a love affair, and they go to the Olympics in Montreal, where I think the runner's name is Billy, right? Billy is the runner.
I read it 30 years ago, so
it's such beautifully.
I'm lucky I remember the name of the author, and I only remember her because we are acquainted, that's all.
But it's a great love story, and I just remember that the way she wrote it was so descriptive of not only how sort of beautiful Billy was, but also of sort of his athletic condition. Remember how she would write about how his body would respond to the training? It's very sort of erotic, and I remember reading at the time, I think I read the book. Okay, so here's the reveal. Patricia Nell Warren, the people who know her now know her as the lesbian writer, Patricia Nell Warren, but I think even in 93, when I probably read that book, I think even at that time she was still closeted. The book had only been written in what? Was it the 80s? Because it was set in the 70s, mid-70s, because they went to the 76 Olympics. And at the time, one of the things that was so interesting or noteworthy about the backstory was, here's this woman who's essentially a married housewife who wrote this book that is like very sort of homo, like for men, and it's just seemed to reveal all this insight into same-sex love and all this stuff. And then, of course, she she came out, and now she's the wonderful outrighter, Patricia Nell Warren. So there's the story. How'd I do?
She really is. She is an excellent writer. Excellent. Yeah.
And she wrote a sequel, and I didn't read it. I forget the name of it. But she did write a sequel to The Front Runner.
Hey, you remember Lorena Bobbitt?
Oh, how could I forget? She's every man's nightmare. Gay or straight.
She decided that she had to finally make a move and change because of all the harassment she was getting here in the United States. Maybe you haven't heard that.
Gee, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. She moved to Russia and changed her name. She changed her name to Lorena Kutcherkakov.
You're terrible. Hey, so get this. You know what? And I'm just going to go right by that and let it go. So, no, but get this. I have exciting news. So I Googled The Front Runner, and the second link that you get if you Google The Front Runner after Amazon buy this book is The Front Runner movie, the official website. Yeah, but I click through and it's like, an Olympic love story. Please direct book and film related inquiries to Tyler St. Mark and Patricia Nell Warren. Well, I'm guessing that. And it's an email address. It doesn't even say who Tyler is. So it sounds like they're still trying to get the. Well, you know what, Ace? Let's take up a collection. Collection.
I tell you, most people don't realize that to get a movie onto the screen, it usually takes years and years and years. So it doesn't surprise me.
That's even if you're Steven Spielberg, so you can't even imagine what it's like for the little people like you and me.
Yeah. Have you ever met someone and it was absolutely an unforgettable experience? I mean, besides
the story.
Besides your meeting me, I mean, something that was really an unforgettable experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
It's been a minute, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you do? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Shelley Winters, I'll never forget her and my first meeting with her. It was at that drugstore in Hollywood. They were,
what year was it? Which version of Shelley are we talking about?
What? Which version?
Version, not virgin. Version.
Oh, okay. Which version of Shelley? Shelley Winters. The Shelley Winters.
But there's been different iterations of Shelley. There's like pre-Alfie Shelley, and there's Poseidon Adventure Shelley.
It was, this was back in the 70s. I was still married at that time to my wife. And so it goes back in the early 70s. Anyway, down at that drugstore where supposedly Lana Turner was discovered in a sweater, they, a lot of us in the industry would go in there and have our little coffee and such. And this one table in there, there was Telly Savalas and some of the others of that ilk. They would gather there almost every day. And Shelley was with them at one of these days, and I happened to walk in, and I can't remember who it was, says, "Ace, come over here. I want you to meet da-da-da." So I went over to it, and Shelley Winters, and I'm standing there and kind of in front of her. And she pulls me down to whisper in my ear, and she says, "Do you want to go home and fuck?" And I said to her, I whispered back, and I says, "Not today, dear. I have a headache." And I stood back up, and she started laughing, and she pulls me back down, and she says, "Sweetheart, you've got to be queer." And I looked at her, and she says, "Straight men don't have comebacks that quickly."
Word to your mother.
She outed me almost, But that was an unforgettable experience. I didn't share that with my wife, believe me.
Hey, honey, Shelley Winters clocked me at the drugstore.
Yeah.
All right, so the sequel to the front runner was Harlan's Race. Coach's name is Harlan Brown. That's what it is. And Harlan's Race actually came out in 94, it looks like. And I remember that. It came out right after I'd read The Front Runner, but I never read Harlan's Race. Yeah.
Would you call me an iconoclast? Somebody called me that.
I would call you, yeah, definitely. Yeah, in fact, I think your picture's in the dictionary next to the word.
Really?
I'm just saying.
An iconoclast. I thought an iconoclast was a person who destroyed religious images or opposed their veneration. I'm not really that way, I don't think. Or a person.
Well, the non-literal definition is someone who breaks images.
Okay, well, I guess that's true.
Anyone who breaks or disdains established dogmata or conventions. Anyone who goes, basically the nonconformists of the world.
A person who attacks settled beliefs or institutions. Yeah, I guess I might be an iconoclast. I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Somebody asked me about whether or not I was a Christian, and I said, because I was talking with some friends over in Saudi Arabia, and they're Muslim, and I said, no, I can't really call myself that. Well, they said, what are you? And I says, do I have to have a tag? And I said, I sort of have a secularist view of life, which would make me a humanist. And
but to be a humanist, you have to care about people. Ew.
Oh, well, I do, my dear. I care.
I know, I'm just messing with you.
I know, I'll slap your face. I might also be a little Gnostic, you know. That's Gnostic, Gnostic.
Yeah, to be Gnostic, you have to actually know something. Is that what you're copping to?
Well, the Gnostics said that structure gives power, I guess, and I do believe that, yeah.
Did they really? What does that mean? Structure
I don't.
Power.
Well, that's, when they were forming the various religions of the world back then,
Is that the same as there's freedom and obedience?
Yeah, it might be, yes.
I think it was Aquinas who said that, because, he had a conversion. I think he said there's freedom and obedience.
Who said that?
St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting person. I would have liked to have met him. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. I think we better talk about... I believe we are responsible as friends to care about other friends and their health, don't you?
Sure, why not?
Oh, well, sure, why not? That sounds too flippant. But then again, being
Is that
gay,
a little too much? Whatever.
being gay, you might be a little flippant. Yes, Well, as a gay man or straight man, do you folks ever talk to your friends about such things as using a condom? Maybe. Don't you care? Don't you care?
I'll be honest and say no, not ever. The one person that I used to stress condom usage with, honestly, is my brother. Back when he was single, I was all over him about that.
Well, good. We should never be afraid. Never be afraid to have a heart-to-heart talks with friends about health. And
That's
why
right.
shouldn't we be afraid? Because we love them. Too often on our life's road, we attend funerals of friends who are our peers and even younger. Oops, it's too late to talk with them about their health then, isn't it? Or we spend hours visiting them in hospitals, and when that visit may have been averted if we'd have talked about the ill-fated road we saw they were traveling, and we never said, hey, wait a minute, think about this, my friend, think ahead. Yes, rich or poor, young or old, there are few things more important than caring for one's own health. Caring for one's children, one's mate, one's family clan is important, but as important as this may be, it cannot be accomplished if one is physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually handicapped. Goes back to the old fact that one cannot help a man out of a well if that man is in the well with them. When I was in my teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, and yes, maybe even in my 50s, I thought about all those old folks in their 70s. Yeah, I'm guilty of this. And if you're under 50, don't tell me you haven't thought about all those old 70-year-olds too, because I'm not that abnormal. And now I find that I'm in that damn bracket. And old isn't anything like I used to think it was. One lesson learned is that for 70-year-olds, it's a sure bet there's more to see looking backwards than forward. Of course, today, a 70-year-old could quite easily look forward to 30 more years, and 30 isn't just a poop in the pot. It's what 40-year-olds look forward to get to the 70, and what a 20-year-old looks forward to get just beyond the 40s. This means there's still a lot of forward thinking to do and accomplishments to achieve. Thinking ahead is a part of all ages of one's life. It's been said that age is a state of mind, and there's probably a bit of truth to that. It's also been said that with age comes wisdom, but this is certainly not necessarily true. A lot of my old peers are stupid, but they were probably on their way to stupid when they were younger. Just look at the idiots that Jay Leno interviews on his jaywalking segment. Drive me crazy. Those dear folks are definitely on their way to being old stupids. Wisdom actually has no age boundaries, and wisdom probably has nothing to do with being formally educated also, as evidenced by the college folks that Jay Leno interviews. There are a lot of educated fools, and there are a lot of street-smart high school and college dropouts. Old folks who did not learn to love themselves on their road to old will probably find themselves alone and lonely when they get old, because it's a fact that one cannot really love others until they first learn to love themselves. So, dear folks listening, don't you get into this, because you're going to shortchange yourselves when you arrive at old. So what's important and what's not is the question we need to ask on our road to old. If old is going to be a positive experience. For instance, I thought in my younger days that being a golden-tanned Adonis was important, without thinking about the skin cancer I'd be facing in the next 50 years. I thought dental costs were absurd. Oh, they still are. So I passed up on yearly visits and watched one tooth after another leave my mouth until it was finally time for falsies. And when old appeared, it was gum to gum gum.
Oh, jeez.
Ever had a speeding ticket? Well, sure. Getting to work on time was important, and as I paid the tickets, I realized I hadn't thought ahead and planned. Not planning ahead on the road to old is costly. And we sped along in our youthful cars, and we cussed out all those old folks who were tootling along, slowing us down. Yes, I remember. Of course, speeding and crazy driving might just help one from becoming old also. I call this the fast lane to heaven. What's important, what's not important? What drives us throughout life on the road to old? Well, making big dollars, becoming filthy rich, or at least well off, that's a big drive. Having a sex life to satisfy our youthful and middle-aged hormones, that's a drive. Maybe finding a soul peace through spirituality. Of course, any and all questions dealing with the well-being of oneself are important, and if you're going to make it to old, then you want to be sure you will be physically in decent health to be able to enjoy old. And if you've mangled yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on your road to old, you're going to have one hell of a miserable time when you arrive at old. Probably the most important thing one can do on the road is to learn as early as possible to love yourself. When you accomplish this, when you accomplish this sometimes difficult task, because loving ourselves isn't always easy because we know all about ourselves, and this can be a bit on the ugly. But once we accept our ugly and our beauty and love it all, then we can love others. And we'll also take care of ourselves because we don't want to hurt the one we love, namely ourselves. So remember, folks, you're never too old to start loving yourself so that you'll be able to love others. And this is my New Year's wish to everyone on the road to old.
Are you trying to tell me to drink less?
I'm trying to tell you to do what Aristotle said. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it.
Oh, thank God. Hey, so from the totally jacked up news department, in case you didn't, in case this wasn't on your radar, I've just got to share this with you.
Okay.
This is from the PFLAG National Blog, which, you know what, I should have the darn URL handy, but I'm sure it's something like, pflagblogspot.com. Those of you in Podland who are friends with me on Facebook know that I post from the blog all the time. But anyway, here's the headline: Bush steps toward equality.
Really?
Yes, you read the title correctly. On December 23rd, President Bush delivered a holiday gift to lesbian and gay couples. Are you still in your chairs? When he signed the Worker, Retiree, and Employer Recovery Act of 2008, the new law makes it mandatory for businesses to roll over retirement benefits to a same-sex partner in the event of the employee's death. Previously, employers could decline surviving same-sex partners, would have to pay tax on the inheritance of the deceased partner's retirement savings, blah, 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 blah. Unbelievable. I'll tell you, the man got him some religion in his final months.
Well, he must have been listening to our show. Mm-hmm.
It's been wild. We have not heard boo about George Bush since the election, except for the shoe thing. I mean, it's like it's all been Obama. So what's your take on Rick Warren? Do you care? Should we protest? Should we let it go? Do we have other things to focus on?
Well, I think maybe next show we should talk a little bit about protests and such.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about that, yeah.
Actually, you know what, Ace? I'm going to boycott the next show just to protest that discussion. How about that?
Okay. I'll send someone over to your door to make sure that you'll be there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, because you know people. The Georgia Mafia.
Yeah, the Atlanta Mafia, yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you been thinking about this? It has just been amazing, the number of people that have crossed over this last year as far as, celebrities. God, there have been so many of them.
God, I haven't even talked about Eartha Kitt, and we claim to be gay.
I know. She was an old friend, and I tell you,
She was a pistol.
I tell you, Eartha, c'est bon. C'est bon, Santa baby, you little...
Stacey Bond, Santa baby, and
you
big
little
old
cutie.
Lundon Calling, bless her heart out to her.
I love that woman. I also saw that Van Johnson passed away, and that was one of our gay movie actors. He was 92, I think, or something when he passed away. But yeah, there's been a lot of people that have crossed over. By the way,
He was a cutie too.
Yeah, in his day, yeah. We all were in our day, yes. By the way, folks, if you want to watch an interesting new show that is really wonderful on Fox, take a look at The Secret Millionaire. I think it's an excellent show.
Is it really?
Yeah, very much so.
What's it about?
About secret millionaires that go out and get out into the real world and get a chance to give a part of their money and things away once they find out.
Oh, this reminds me of, what was the other show where they would go and they would find people? God, what was it? It was like on Bravo, and they'd find these people that were living on the edge, and they'd try to make a difference in their lives. It was like an hour-long show, and the guy would just spot somebody and on the street begging for money, and he'd go, what's going on in your life? And the guy'd be like, well, I'm an addict, actually, I'm an alcoholic. Go, well, you know what? I'm going to make you an offer right now. I have the power to put you in a recovery program. You don't have to worry about what it's going to cost you. You can end all this now. What would you like to do? And that was kind of what the whole show was about. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but I remember the old Millionaire show from back in the 50s.
Oh, so this Secret Millionaire thing is nothing new. It's just an
update of no. Matter of fact, Don Feddersen from my hometown was the producer of that old Millionaire show. And he did it was a good thing. God, he did some great shows. Yeah. By the way, my thanks to the Insane Clown Posse for this one. They were these two gals watching a movie in the theater, and the one turned to the other and said, "This guy next to me is masturbating." "Well, tell him to stop." I can't. He's using my hand."
Oh, God. We have to end on a high note. We only have 5 minutes to do it.
Thank you, the Insane Clown Posse, for that one. Yes. Oh, dear, oh, dear.
So you're sitting here watching shows about do-gooder secret millionaires, and you know what I'm watching? I'm totally wrapped up in Californication. I love David Duchovny. I think I have a secret straight male pig buried deep inside me. I really do. That or a serial killer, because I've also really been loving Dexter. Oh, my goodness. It doesn't hurt that.
Did you hear about the car accident with this straight man and a gay guy?
What did they produce?
The man ran into the rear of the gay guy's car. And the gay guy gets out and says, "I should sue you." And the straight guy says, "Oh, bite me." And the gay guy says, "Oh, so you want to settle out of court?"
Oh, jeez. That didn't go where I thought it was going to go.
I figured it didn't. Well, folks, you can email us at what address?
So we tell them at the end of the show, lundon.calling@gmail.com, and London is spelled with a U, so it's LUNDON.calling@gmail.com.
So let's hear from you. Tell us what you want to listen to, maybe, or ball us out or whatever. And if you want to make a donation, we could sure use the help. These darn things do cost to produce, believe it or not. I didn't.
Gee, Ace, where do I go on the internet to make a donation? Well, you go to london-calling.net.
Yes, and there's a page or something or other that our Spider-Man has put on there.
That's right.
Yes. And
support/donate link. We'll take either.
And I tried to tell in my last blog that if you make a donation like $5 and such, and it comes back and says thank you from the Closet Light. The Closet Light is my project, and I just took the PayPal thing and put it over so I wouldn't have to start another PayPal thing, because that costs money. So I just used the same. So it'll tell you that it's Closet Light, and it'll tell you that it's Lundon Calling. So when you make your little PayPal donation, I thank you in advance. And it is the hour up time, folks. Bless your hearts. Thank you for being a listener on our little happy show tonight.
Oh, and do you know how to say Happy New Year in Hawaiian?
No.
Oh, it's so musical. Haole makahiki ho.
Hala makahiki ho. Well, I hope so. I hope so. I love it. Folks, I love you. I know Lance loves you. We love you. Tune back
Happy
in
New
next
Year.
week.
Haole makahiki ho.
Yes.